The FAA seems to have a credibility problem, Jim. What should it do?
Well, it has a great credibility problem, not in our country, but not only in our country, but worldwide, by Congress and the FAA moving towards self-certification, which has resulted in decisions being made internally in Boeing that were not answered in the congressional hearings this week. In fact, I think those hearings have only added to the concern among the members of Congress, as well as the flight unions and the pilots, the ones who fly the aircraft.
Are you saying then that Boeing had too much control over the process of certifying the 737 MAX and was able basically to make decisions that to present information or not present information that might have changed the way the process went? Is that what you're saying?
I'm saying that in 2013, I wrote an editorial in the New York Times expressing my concerns about the changes in the DER system that moved to what I felt was self-certification.
DER is what? Just for people who don't understand, what is DER system?
Designated Engineering Representatives.
Okay.
Who had formerly reported to the FAA, reported to Boeing. And that process, as something that Boeing, its very large lobbying arm, had worked for years. And now we see the fruits of that. First, the 787 was grounded, if you remember, after its introduction. Now the problems with the 737 MAX and the problems with other aircraft. And at the same time all this has happened, we see that again, a Boeing lobbyist is trying to have an influence over the questions asked at these recent hearings.
You know,
it's time for a change.
Jim, Dennis Muhlenberg really took it from Congress this past week in terms of how much blame he was personally accused or was hoisted upon him by people in Congress. And I'm wondering if from your standpoint, if the government should share an equal amount of blame.
I believe they should. I mean, we need to have accountability introduced back in our system. And in the aviation system, unfortunately, a lot of that is being delegated, as in other parts of government, to the manufacturer. And without the oversight, what are the American people paying for? The American people pay the flight for their flights over $3 billion a year that goes into providing safe airports and an aviation system so that Boeing and others can utilize it. So it's the system is broken.
And Jim, the Wall Street Journal highlighted that this week. I mean, they talked about the missteps taken at the FAA, how they had some concerns about these systems. They could have warned the world about it. They chose not to. They just instead reminded the pilots about how to deal with some of the problems that might crop up. So what are you suggesting would be a better way to structure either the FAA entirely or this relationship between them and Boeing from now on?
Well, I have a concern for the individuals, that work for Boeing. There are a lot of fine individuals I met at my time at the NTSB, but leadership in safety starts at the top. And I am sure Mr. Muhlenberg's a nice man, but the man who created the culture that caused these problems is not the individual that is going to solve it. We have heard from Boeing ever since, for almost a year, that they own this problem, that they were working on a fix on this problem. But today, a year later, there's still no fix. And certainly there's not going to be a fix to this aircraft until there is one presented. It is working its way through FAA and worldwide regulators.